Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hello, everybody. So glad to have you here again. We've got an amazing, wonderful guest. She is so, I want to say, like very wise, very learned, very exciting, very fun, very, a lot of things. So she's going to be doing some, she's actually do some work with us today. You know, it's always fun. We'll get experiential things with our guests. So I'm looking forward to whatever it is. I just know we're going to do something today, and it's going to open us up. So I'm so grateful to have you here today, Lesley.
Thank you, Daniel. And it's absolutely my pleasure to hang out with you today. And I'm very excited to see where our conversation's going to go.
Yeah, isn't it always fun?
It's
an adventure. It's like, let's see what happens. I know it is so cool. I love life. I love that. So let's get into it. Let me share about your background a little bit. So Dr. Lesley Phillips is the author of Intuition and Chakras, a book that helps you work with energy to safely open your unique profile of psychic abilities. We do want to talk about the safety piece today. She is a Ph.D. scientist who became a psychic. This blend of scientist and mystic appeals to people who wish to connect the intellect and intuition. I'm going to pause here for a minute, Dr. Lesley. I just was listening to somebody the other day that says they were working in Silicon Valley, and they said they were always putting the two together. Like that's where the magic is. So, so we got a perfect guest on today. Her passion is to empower you to follow your guidance, and she is the founder of the School of Intuition, online psychic development school. Lesley also hosts a radio show and a podcast of her own called Unlocking Your Truths, which I've listened into. She's got such a depth of information to share. It's really awesome. She wants to help people shift from mystery to mastery when it comes to meditation, intuition, and energy. She wrote her first book, The Midas Tree, which is a spiritual adventure novel to make learning meditation fun for everyone, including kids. And that's so cool because you have the kids today. I mean, they're very open to meditation. I've got my girls on their own or been downloading. You know, one of them downloaded their own meditation app, started meditating on their own a little bit, and so the kids are more open to it nowadays.
How old are your girls, Daniel?
Well, my own are 15 and 12, and I have a 28-year-old stepdaughter.
Well, I must send you a copy of the Midas Tree for your 12-year-old at least.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you a copy.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you so much.
I'm sure she'll enjoy it.
Oh, wonderful. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So your wonderful book, show everybody your book, the ones that can see it here on the video.
Okay, sure. So
cover.
This is my new book,
Yes.
Intuition and Chakras.
Yes.
It's published by Llewellyn, and it's available on Amazon, IndieBound, Llewellyn, and I've forgotten one. What's the other bit? Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble. That little one. Yes. I love it. And let's talk about. I mean, I've studied and taught about intuition and chakras for well, not nearly as long as you probably, but for many years I held school basically that focused on it myself. So help people to do that. So this is gonna be fun. Now let's talk first about your journey. You know, you're a second guest I've had on recently that was like a scientist sort of person that became into the mystical or intuitive realm. So, but let's hear about your journey. How did you go from being a scientist to getting into the intuitive so-called woo-woo realm?
Well, I believe that we are all born with psychic abilities. We are spirit, and our psychic abilities are how we communicate as spirit. what happens to many of us, especially in our generation, Daniel, is that once you're born and you're in the physical world, then you are taught how to be in the physical world. So part of it is your physical senses kick in and they help you orient to time, space, reality. But then the culture that you're born in, the parents that you have their own values, their own beliefs about reality and what's important, which they impart to you. And so many of us really are taught to focus on the intellect, that what's important is how clever you are, that you get an excellent education intellectually, because that's going to enable you to get a good job and support yourself, and then we don't need to worry about you. So I would say that was my story, and I know it's the story of many, 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 many other people, that as a small child, I remember seeing energy. I remember asking the adults around me if they also saw the energy, and they didn't. And then I learned that what was pleasing to people was if I was clever. And so I oriented myself to focus on my intellect, and I went to university for 8 years. I have a bachelor's degree in science and a Ph.D. in science. So my energy was very focused on the intellectual side, but simultaneously to that, I had a passion for dreams, and I kept a dream diary for many, many years. And it fascinated me because things happened in my dreams that were counterintuitive to what we're taught about physical reality. I mean, you know, you can fly in a dream. You can't fly in physical reality unless you get on an airplane, for example. But I had premonitions about actual world events in my dreams. I had premonitions about events that happened to me individually in my own life in my dreams. I experienced myself in past lifetimes and meeting with people I knew in the current life, all as different characters. And it fascinated me. It absolutely fascinated me. And so I developed a passion for dreams and dream interpretation. And that led me to seek out other people who were excited about dreams. And this is all simultaneous to having my education and starting my career, which was first as a scientist and then as a business development professional in the biotech industry. I had this parallel stream going on, which started out dreams, dream interpretation. I joined a dream group, and we used to meet once a week, share our dreams, work on our dreams, and we trained ourselves to consciously enter our dreams, to do lucid dreaming, to meet each other in our dreams, and had many adventures together. That group of people were really into this kind of stuff. And they told me about a school in the UK that taught energy healing and clairvoyance. So I took a few courses in energy healing and clairvoyance. And so that then started opening me up into more of a waking conscious level of the psychic abilities. I moved to Canada from the UK for a job in business development in biotech. But for my personal life, I sought out other individuals that were into this alternative stuff that I was into. And I found another group. And I trained with that group for 6 years. And I taught classes in the evenings for that group. And so I had 6 years of very intensive spiritual development, which caused me to really examine myself, heal myself, clear out everything that was within my space that wasn't really me. And that really accelerated my track into, I guess, moving to who I am now, which is having moved completely out of working as a scientist or a business development person. This is what I do. I eventually created my school of intuition, and I train people in this stuff. So I hope that gives you a flavor of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know this show we're going to really dive into talking about, yeah, overall intuition and chakras and psychic development, doing it safely and all kinds of stuff. And I wanted to talk about some of that early journey of your story. It's fascinating to me with your dreams and lucid dreaming. And I think that's something that is not, really talked about that much in the world of intuition. I mean, it's talked about, but it's not as much as all the usual stuff, right? So I'd love to just tune in a little bit on that with you and just love to have a conversation about it. So, like for myself, like in my life, I gather some hints and clues and things like that, and I'm sensitive to frequencies and whatnot that may be happening in my dreams. And I wouldn't say like I'm really, because I haven't put a focus on it maybe, or who knows, but like it doesn't like come across to me like I know it's very important and it's very deep and it's all that, but I don't look at it as like, wow, I get all these revelations through my dreams. I get clues, I get hints, it's like nudges. But whereas like some people, even that people don't focus on it, they get premonitions. Like my one of my daughters, she says many times she has a dream. She says it's not deja vu. She has an actual dream about something happening, and then it happens in her waking life. It happens kind of regularly.
Yeah.
So I was kind of wondering about that. I mean, how much of it is around, like so many other things, but like how much of it is around training ourselves to really deepen our connection of intuition and in our dreams, and versus it just kind of spontaneously happening. I mean, that'd be true even in our so-called waking life, but I'm just curious to
Sure.
your what you have to share about that.
Sure. And I'll just say that the way I train people now to access their intuition is not through their dreams, but that was my journey, how I came to
Right.
it. And so let me see, I'm trying to remember exactly what your question about it was.
How much of it is just spontaneously comes to people like, oh, they had this experience versus like, I know everything flows from intention. So I know if I set an intention, I'm going to start having this experience through my dreams. I know, right? You're going to start experiencing more of those sorts of things. Absolutely. But I wonder like how much of it is like people think with intuition in general, much less with dreams, how much of it is just natural, like a natural gift that we have versus intention based, et cetera, like developing it.
Okay, so I'll answer the question, I think, about dreams, and then I think you asked it generally about intuition.
Yeah.
So dreams, they've done studies on dreams, and there's lots of research out there that shows that the majority of the population has had an experience like your daughter, where they've had some kind of premonition in their dreams. So one of the things about dreams is it's very approachable. Most people recognize that dreams are a thing. They've had dreams themselves. They may even have had some kind of revelatory dream like that. And we all dream. And, what is a dream? Dreaming is actually your consciousness merging into the larger part of yourself. And in some senses, we might say it's more real and more reflective of who you really are. Because when you dream, you are entering multidimensional consciousness. You are entering a state of being outside of time and space. That's why in dreams, an enormous amount can happen within a dream because you're not in time and space. It's not linear like physical reality is. It's not necessarily, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And so what that means is that where our dream experience gives us a vast playground for self-expression and experimentation. So we may try out many different versions of reality in our dream state before we bring forward a version of that reality that we manifest. So deja vu and premonitions, that's kind of what they are. deja vu, you're saying, I feel like I've been here before. You have. You already practiced this in your dream state, and now you're manifesting it in physical reality. Premonition's the same thing. You've explored a variety of different journeys that you might go on in your waking consciousness. And one of them is the one that you have manifested. And that's something that we all do. We all are, we are spirit, we are eternal, we are multidimensional consciousness. And then we pinch off an aspect of ourselves and project it into this more limited but more focused time-space reality. So when you're dreaming, you're kind of merging with that greater part of yourself. And then when you're having these experiences of the dream deja vu or the dream memories, you're bringing in components of what you've been exploring in that out-of-body state into the waking state. And, you know, a lot of people say, I don't remember my dreams. And it's not possible for all of us to remember all of our dreams. Because how can you fit that expanded, multidimensional, eternal consciousness experience into a finite physical body with a finite, you know, time for being here? You actually can't. But I'll share with you another anecdote from my own life, in that when I was, that phase in my life when I was focused on that, and you were right, you said earlier, well, I don't really do that. Is it because probably I haven't focused on it? And I think you're right. When we focus on these things and we place our attention on them, then it expands. So in that period of my life, that's what I was doing. And I actually, in my waking conscious, I could remember a dream. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd say, well, I remember a dream that I had. I actually trained myself to sleep with a dictaphone, something like this, under my pillow, with my finger on the record button. I was single at the time. And when I went into a REM cycle, my finger would press record and I would speak my dream into this. And then in the morning, lo and behold, there would be 5 dreams. And it was real because I was speaking it, but the only one I had a conscious memory of was the very last I'd had before I woke up. The rest of it, there was no dream recall whatsoever. The only proof was that I'd managed to dictate it into the dictaphone. So, I mean, I guess that, you know, that's a download of information, but I mean, the answer to your original question, what you focus on expands. So if you're into dreams and you're interested in dreams, then by focusing on it, you too can bring forward into your waking consciousness more of that dream information. And the same thing for intuition. And I always like to use the analogy with my students about going to the gym. So you decide that you want to get fit and you want to tone up your body and you join the gym. Well, if you don't go to the gym every day, you know, and you don't do the exercise regimen that has been suggested, then you're probably not going to get very good results. And it's the same thing with developing your intuition. It involves a level of commitment to yourself and setting time aside to focus on it. The other thing I always say is that developing your intuition is kind of like a twofold path. On the one hand, there's developing your intuition, learning about your intuition, learning about your psychic abilities, how to consciously tap into them and tune into them and get the information. The other part of it is a self-healing journey. Why? Because your energy field is like a transmitter and a receiver. And if your energy field is like a dirty window, you won't be able to see through. You won't be able to see through it. You won't be clear. Your intuition won't be clear. So we need to clean out everything that we've stored within our system that is foreign energy, that is pain from past time experiences, that is unsupporting beliefs, that is, you know, all of those things that we humans tend to carry around as baggage. We fill our energy field up and it dirties the window. So all of my courses focus on the one hand on helping you get clear by doing work on healing yourself, and also teaching you how to access your psychic abilities. And the two go hand in hand, because as you clean your energy, you're raising your vibration, you're cleaning the dirty window, and naturally you start to tap into your intuition. And then there are techniques that you can learn as well that really help you hone it and focus on it.
Right, right, exactly. And that's so true. I mean, that's so true. Is the more that we clear those energies, the more we naturally would get attuned. That makes sense, because we're one with the divine, the infinite intelligence. So it's like once we open up the circuitry, it's just you just all have more of a sense of knowing, or feeling, or whatever, all the different senses we have, right? Intuitively, whether you feel, see, know, etc., all those different ones. So yeah, because I know, like, even with me, I mean, I've always been intuitive, and then I developed it, over time, and then I taught it to people. So I know, even though deep into that whole journey, not that long ago, I remember going to someone who was doing some body work with me, and the guides came in, and we're doing this whole session, and I was like, yeah, I hear them sometimes tell me some things, and I'm just like, yeah, but I don't want to be a slave to you, so I'm not listening to you. Like even these resistances, like, because of my old control stuff, like being controlled in past lives and stuff. No one's good, not even you. I won't let you tell me what to do. Even though I was constantly following my intuition, but some levels of intuition I would close off. So I think it's really interesting how we create that for ourselves, where there's so many different programs where we're shutting down our intuition, aren't there? And what are some of the ones you commonly see? That was one that showed up for me, for example.
Yeah, and I'd like to comment on that.
Yeah,
before I answer your question.
Sure.
Which is that I don't believe any of us should ever give our seniority away to a guide.
Right.
That's one thing that I guess some people do, is like, I've got this guide, but I tend to say, think of yourself as the CEO of your own life. Your energy field is your creative universe. You're the god of that universe. You create your reality through that energy field. You're in charge of it, right? And anything that you do in this body, you're responsible for. Okay, so never give your seniority away to anyone or anything. So when you work with guides, it's more like a consultation. I've invited you in as an advisor. Right. Just like a CEO would invite a consultant in to help them with an aspect of their business. And we also learn to be very discerning about the guides that we do listen to. And if there ever is a guide or an energy being that imposes themselves upon you, then that's not one to work with, because that one isn't respecting your seniority in your own space. That one isn't respecting you at all. It's not respecting your energy. All right, so then the second question was, what are some of the common ways in which people either shut down their intuition or that block their intuition? Top three, and actually the first one, maybe not so much anymore because of COVID, but it used to be, I'm too busy. It's that gym analogy I was talking. I'm too busy. My life is so busy. It's so packed. I've got the kids. I've got to take them to school. Then I've got to go to work. I've got to exercise to look after, and I'm just so busy that it's hard for me to set time aside to meditate. And then when I set time aside to meditate, I fall asleep. So number one used to be committing to yourself, putting yourself first, carving out some time in your life for you. I think now, because of COVID, a lot of people do have a little bit more time. The second one, monkey mind syndrome. So there's a quote from the Buddha, which is something like, the human mind is like a barrel of drunken monkeys. And it kind of is. We've all experienced that, haven't we? All the crazy thoughts, whether you're focusing on your to-do list, what you've got to do today, you're thinking about something that happened last week when you felt embarrassed at work because you said something stupid and you're still beating yourself up about it. You're worried about the meeting you've got to do next week. And all of this is going on in your mind. And that separates you from yourself, and it separates you from your intuition. So that's a big block that I encounter with people. And the answer to that is find a way to still the mind, to quiet the mind, to separate yourself from your thoughts. And again, in my courses, we have energy techniques that teach you how to do that. So, and then the third one is emotional overwhelm. And this is particularly common with people who label themselves as empaths. I'm an empath, so I can't be in a crowd because I get overwhelmed. Everyone else's emotional energy is being filtered through my system. And, or I'm the friend that everyone comes to offload and dump their emotional stuff on. Or it's my own emotions that are out of control, and I'm constantly getting triggered. And so really what we're talking about is the difference between body and spirit. The emotions are part of the body, and the intellect is part of the body, and the ego as well. And left unchecked, those things dominate our reality. And most humans, their reality is dominated by their intellect, by their emotions, by their sex drive, and by their ego, really. And so those strong, powerful drives of the physical body are the main things that get in our way of tapping into our intuition, because we need to learn how to operate consciously as spirit while within the physical body. We were talking earlier about dream experiences. In dreams, we're traveling outside of the body, right? That's why a lot of people, when they're dropping off to sleep or they're just waking up, they'll have an experience like they'll hear someone call their name or they'll see a vision, because the intellect is disengaged. But to be an awakened human, at least my definition of it is, how do I access that greater part of my being, all of these wonderful gifts, connect with my higher guidance while awake in the physical body, right? So it's learning to let the driver drive the car, you, the higher consciousness, drive the car of your reality, as opposed to allowing those powerful aspects of the body to create your reality instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, I mean, certainly emotions, intellect, like that automatically, I mean, you could see where that would throw you, if you don't know how to utilize, channel, your focus correctly or whatever, be in the right relationship with the intellect and the emotions, etc. Could definitely throw you off, right? I'm a little curious on the sexual drive or impulse, or however you said it, but like how that, I mean, without, that's what I'd love to hear you share about, because that one, like, is not, I can see what you're saying, but like, I'd love to flesh that out. Like, how does that, like, just maybe like throw us off? I mean, I could see it in a very simple way how that could throw us off, but what are some of the simple and like not so known ways of how that can throw our energy off from being connected more deeply to our intuition? Yeah.
Let me think of some simple and more complicated ways.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, a simple way might be, I don't know, you want, it's a strong urge within your body and a need that, you're having that needs to be met. And maybe you want to meditate and develop your intuition, but that somehow is something that's stopping you. Mm-hmm. A more complicated answer is that we're putting out mental image pictures all the time. We're putting out mental image pictures all the time about everything. Including sex, right? And so it's possible to be manipulated on a sexual level by somebody by the pictures that they're putting out. If they are projecting energy and ideas into your space, you are not awake and aware enough to know this is not my energy or my information,
Right.
you may take it as your own energy and information and feel like this is something I want to do when really it's not, for example.
Makes sense.
So I have a course called Clairsentience, on developing clairsentience, which is the aspect of, it's really to do with the second chakra and tuning into the emotions and sexuality. And it's a 10 module course, but one of the module is exactly about what we were just talking about. You know, it's about becoming aware of your own energy, what you're doing with your own energy, and other people and their energy and what they're doing with it, so you can be in charge of your own personal creative universe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I mean, we all have heard how powerful the sex energy is. I mean, not just wanting to have sex, but like just the sexual energy, and how we all utilize it. You know, we're utilizing it in all different kind of ways throughout our day. That's how I see it. So I could see how that could definitely be something that could either, again, work for you, or it could work against you, like all the other aspects of ourselves, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And you can learn to channel your sexual energy for spiritual purposes if you want to as well. And oh gosh, I was going to say something else. Give me a moment. Oh, it's gone out my mind. I guess I'm not meant to say it, whatever it is.
Not yet, anyway. Maybe
I know.
Here we go.
I don't mean to minimize the body and the body's reality in any way, shape, or form, because these are natural aspects of the body. And part of the spiritual journey, from my perspective, is to cultivate a healthy partnership with your own body, so that you are in charge as spirit, but you're also listening to your body's needs, and so that your body is a happy and willing companion on the life journey with you. Right. So we don't want to minimize the intellect and say, throw away the intellect, throw away the sex drive. Or what we're saying is just be aware when it's you and when it's your body. It's
right.
Like, who's driving the car now?
Right.
Your body may be sexually attracted to somebody, and as spirit, it might not be something that, you know,
appropriate. Right. Yeah, aligned, or whatever you want to call it, spiritually. So I mean, there is that. Yeah, I mean, I always, we've always, it's been said so many times, I always look at that, when you're letting the impulse of your higher self, or whatever you want to call it, to drive your life, then everything else finds its right place, is kind of how I sort of see it, right? So
yes.
So as long as we know who the driver is.
yeah, I like the way you said that.
yeah. So we talked a little bit. So that's one aspect of how the chakras interact with intuition, right there, is the second chakra, the sexual energy. Tell us more about like how, I think, everybody that I ever talked to says, yeah, I know about the chakras. So I imagine our listeners understand about the chakras in general. So, but how does working with our chakras, or, how do the chakras interact with our intuition from your perspective?
Sure. And one of the reasons I wrote my book is I think there's been a lot written about the chakras, a lot shared about the chakras, especially to do with health and healing. I mean, everybody would say, yes, I know my, to be healthy, I need the energy to be flowing through my chakras. Less information about the psychic abilities and the chakras. So most people would say, if you talked about psychic abilities and the chakras, they'd say, oh yes, I know the third eye, that's the sixth chakra. Or they might say the crown chakra, that's the gateway to higher consciousness. But in fact, all of the 7 main chakras channel different forms of intuition. And there's actually a profile of 22 different psychic abilities that are channeled through the main chakra system. Some uniquely through one of the chakras. So for example, the 5th chakra is a conduit or a channel for your inner voice, clairaudience, broadband telepathy, narrowband telepathy, and pragmatic intuition, right? Other of the psychic abilities are a couple of or more chakras working together. So we were talking about precognition, sort of. We were talking about dreams and precognition. So precognitive ability is a combination of the crown chakra and the sixth chakra working together. So I've written about all of this in my book, but I guess the take-home message is every single one of us is unique. And if you think about your chakra system like a musical instrument, we're all playing a different tune, right? We're all playing the notes in a different order. Nobody opens their chakras or explores their chakras in the same order. Now, back to the analogy of being infinite consciousness and then projecting yourself into the experience of an individual lifetime. And there's a great analogy in my book, which says, Johnny's getting a new job. And he's a skilled carpenter. He's a skilled, let's say he's a skilled musician, he's a carpenter, and he's a painter. And he has everything he needs to succeed at those three choices. But his new job is to be a carpenter. So he sort of packs up his work bag and he's not going to put his clarinet in there, right? He's not going to put his paintbrush in there. He's going to put everything he needs to be a carpenter. So everybody, when they incarnate, has an intention or a focus for that lifetime and what that lifetime is going to be about. So the chakra system is configured to support that intention for that lifetime. And that profile of 22 psychic abilities is exactly what it needs to be to support that individual in what they are here to do. So that's what I call the psychic ability blueprint. We're all unique, none of us are the same, but we all have everything that we need within us to support what we came here to do and who we are.
Wow, that's amazing. So do you have a way of helping people understand what their psychic ability blueprint is? And because you're right, I mean, all of our intuition, the way it works can be kind of similar sometimes it's a lot different. So yeah, how do we explore that?
I have lots of different ways. So one way, and we'll add this to the free gifts actually, is I've got a quiz, an online quiz, which gives you the four main clairs. You mentioned them before. Am I clairvoyant? I see as spirit. Claircognizance, I know. Clairaudience, I hear. Clairsentience, I feel. Or what combination of that is. So I've got a really cool quiz for someone who just wants to have fun with that. I've also got a cool infographic to give away to your, which will teach them some more. But apart from that, I have a consultation that I do with my clients, which is called a Psychic Ability Blueprint consultation. And that involves me going into trance and drawing up a chart of when you were born this lifetime, what you came in with, and now where you're at. And then we meet and we go through that chart and we basically plot out your life journey from birth to now for all 22 of those psychic abilities and look at how that relating to your life purpose. And sometimes people are going through a challenge on the level of that chakra and ability, right? And that's part of the life path. And sometimes they are expressing that psychic ability. So another way is to come and meet me and have a session with me. But I also wrote the book to create a version that people could do for themselves. So if you read this book, it takes you through a process of exploration, self-exploration within yourself, where you start to build up a profile for yourself. It's not done in the same way that I do it. So if you come and meet me, I go into trance and I use my psychic abilities to tell you about your psychic abilities. Whereas this takes you through exercises where you're exploring different things that have happened to you within your life and, and being able to validate, oh, maybe I was learning about this, or maybe that's an example of that. And you're also exploring your life purpose as well and connecting the two together. So that's 4 really cool different ways, depending on how deeply you want to go into it. You can get the cool infographic, play around with that, take a quiz, read the book, or, you know, come and meet me and have a session.
Wow. Yeah. Let's, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, that's very interesting. So you're really sharing some really incredible things to me. And so having people come awareness, bringing this awareness to us that your intuition is like everything else, you know, but we don't think about these things every day. Your intuition is specifically, I'm just going to use my own terminology for now, but
Sure.
activated and aligned and working in a certain way for your unique life path is just amazing to realize, like, wow, I mean, like, that it really, like, and then to be able to discover what that is,
Yeah.
you know, I would imagine that would help you to be able to have more fulfillment, live your life purpose, you know, and develop your intuition, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and the other thing that I love in talking about everyone's uniqueness is it takes the competition out of it. It takes the expectations out of it. It takes the perfectionism out of it. You don't have to wonder why you can't do it like somebody else,
Right.
because you're not that somebody else, you're you.
Right. And that's always what I've taught, you know, throughout. I've never taught what you teach, and that's the level of sophistication to go through. And there's 22, and we're going to dial in this whole thing, you know, code or whatever, however you look at it. But yeah, like, how does your intuition work, bottom line, and through these different senses, et cetera. So is more where I was. But to have that, I think is really cool, and it makes sense that you offer that too. I'm just thinking like, oh, that makes sense. You're the scientist. Like, let's get to so it really makes that sense there too.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, and you know, here's the thing. As humans, we like to compartmentalize. For us to be able to understand it, we like to put it in these little boxes. And you know, in order to teach this stuff, in some senses, that's kind of what I've done. You know, I have a foundation course called Unlock Your Intuition, and then I have all these courses, like, if you've decided clairvoyance is your thing, you can take a clairvoyance course. If you've decided clairaudience is your thing, you can take the clairaudience course, and so on, and all of them. And in order to teach it, how do you teach it as a human being? You kind of have to slice it and dice it and feed it out that way, because that's how we are. But ultimately, it's all an integrated system working together.
Yeah, it just is, right? So yes. And it's yeah, it can get very in depth, or it can be very simple and basic at the same time. It's all of it. That's how I look at it. So what I wanted to do with the time we have left in part is I wanted people to get an experience of how amazing you are with your whatever you want to share with us, so people can experience that. So what would you like to possibly share with us today as an experiential?
Sure. I'll teach you 1, maybe 2 techniques. Let's see how it goes with the time we have. Feel free to interrupt me if we need to stop.
Okay. I may not be able to. I'll be like, no, keep going. Let's see. Okay.
All right. I'm going to start by teaching you grounding, and I'm going to teach it to you, and then I'm going to explain why we're learning it. So I'll invite you to sit with your feet flat on the floor, your hands resting in your lap. Sit in a straight back chair. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. And a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. And just give yourself permission to continue a long, slow, deep breath to accompany this meditation. And I'll invite you to be aware of an energy center that exists near the base of your spine. This energy center is called your first chakra or your base chakra. That's how we label it. It's near the base of your spine, so be aware of it. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a flow of energy that goes from the first chakra all the way to the center of the earth. That means it's going to flow through the chair that you are sitting in, the floor of the room, any levels in the building that you're in, including the foundations of the building, and all the way through the layers of the planet until it reaches the very center of the earth. And I'll invite you to securely attach this grounding cord at the center of the earth and at the first chakra. And then just take a moment to notice how this feels. How does it feel to be grounded? For some of you, it might be familiar. For others, it might be something totally new that you've never experienced before. So take a moment. And then as a contrast to this, I'm going to invite you to let go of your grounding cord so you no longer are grounded. Let it go and go back into an ungrounded state and notice how you feel when you are not grounded. What is the difference? Notice whether being ungrounded is more familiar to you. Or less familiar. Then let's just get grounded again. So once again, tuning into your first chakra and creating a flow of energy from the first chakra all the way to the center of the earth. And when you create this grounding cord, you are creating the grounding cord as spirit. You're working with energy. It's effortless because it's you, the spirit, that's doing the grounding. So create the flow of energy that goes from near the base of your spine and flows through effortlessly through the chair, the building, the layers of the earth to the center of the earth. Take a moment to sit in that grounded state. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about grounding. You as spirit are super high vibration. Your physical body and the physical world is a much lower vibration of energy. To become conscious, awake, and aware as the bright spark of divine energy that you are within the body, you need to be grounded because the grounding helps make it safe for your high vibration energy to flow through your system. It will help reduce the vibrational gap between your higher energy vibration and the body's lower energy vibration. Now, one of the ways it does that is, as well as anchoring you into your physical body, it always also gives you a conduit for releasing energy. So the grounding cord is a flow of energy. So allow yourself to be aware right now of the grounding cord as a flow of energy. And to help you, you might visualize it as a waterfall. Or a laser beam. Or a well that you can throw things down. Or if you prefer, it could be a root or a tree trunk. So experiment with some of those ways of grounding and find what feels good for you. Just choose the one that feels the best. And remember, grounding is a conduit for releasing energy. Remember the analogy from earlier in the show, clean your window. This is one way we can clean the window. We can send energies that we don't want, that aren't helping us, that aren't in our highest and greatest good, down the grounding cord. So right now, be aware of your system. Be aware of your body, be aware of your energy, and just scan your system and notice if there are any areas of discomfort. And that discomfort could be a physical pain. It could be emotional anguish. It could be a mental disturbance. It could be somebody else's energy in your space, or a myriad of other things. It doesn't really matter what it is, but choose one that you're aware of. And then I want to invite you to just send that energy down your grounding cord. Send it to the center of the earth where that energy can be repurposed. Release it from your system. And as you release and let go of those heavier, denser energies, you're increasing your vibration and you're reducing the vibrational gap between body and spirit. So continue releasing energy of this thing that you've chosen. And I'm just going to talk and give you a bit more information about grounding while you do so. Yeah, so just be releasing and letting go down the grounding cord. I was going to give you a bit more information. Makes it safe for you to come into your physical body. And the analogy is electrical appliances. All the electrical appliances in your home have a grounding wire. Why? If there's an energy surge, an electricity surge, it will arc off that excess energy. The grounding cord does this for you, because you don't want to fry your circuits by bringing in too much energy. Remember, the body's a physical organism. You're high-powered, high-vibration energy. So grounding like this makes it safe for you to bring your energy into the body and for you to start to consciously drive the vehicle. Starts to put you in charge. You can also place your conscious awareness in the center of your head. Basically, this is the third eye. So I'll invite you to do that. And if you notice that the center of your head is full of disturbance and other energy, simply send that down your grounding. This is one of the seats of the soul within the physical body. We were talking about driving the car. This is where you can drive the car from. This is where you can drive your reality from the center of your head. When you seat your consciousness here, you start to stimulate and activate your clairvoyance, which is the ability to see as spirit from a neutral, non-judgmental perspective. When you're neutral and non-judgmental and in a place of acceptance, it's much easier to change things that you do not prefer. So just take a moment to just get comfortable being in the center of your head and being grounded. These are two amazing tools for showing you how to be an awakened human, a consciously awake and aware human. And if you don't ever learn anything else, but you practice these two techniques, you can change your entire life. It brings you into the body and it gives you the tools to change anything that you want. So take a deep breath in, have a deep breath out. And at your own pace, after you release a bit more energy down your grounding, open your eyes and come back into the room. Hello, Daniel.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really awesome. The grounding really, the way you did it really made it feel very deep for me anyway. I really
Right.
felt the depth of grounding, probably deeper than I felt in maybe a very long time. I don't know when the last time is. So, but it's very deep grounding. And for me, I felt first just a sense of peace. But then when you had us disconnect, then it was like I felt like it always like when I read people's energies too, it's like,
Yeah.
like, oh, let me run, let me go this way, let me go that way,
Exactly.
I'm gonna go to the non-grounded. Yeah.
Yeah. This focuses you. You want
Yeah.
to create your reality. You can't be ungrounded and all over the place like this. You have to be present within your own energy system.
Yeah. And one of the number one things for the people listening is they've been persecuted in past lives. They fight being here. They don't want to be in their body. They just want to go back home. This has you feeling like, no, I'm good here. Like,
Well,
it helps.
because
It helps.
that past life persecution doesn't belong in this reality. So if you're holding it in this reality, use your grounding to release it. Because
Yes.
you're not going to be burnt at the stake this lifetime. You're not going to be put in the Spanish Inquisition or a witch's ducking stool or whatever else it was. So clear that past time energy from your space. You can create a clean slate in every single moment. Okay.
Yes.
And the grounding can help you to do that. Right? Because if you're carrying around persecution, guess what? You're transmitting that signal of I'm a victim of persecution into the universe. This universe operates by delivering basically whatever signal you're sending out. So if you want more persecution, hold on to that persecution. But if you don't, let it go. Use the grounding to let it go and transmit something else like joy and love and light. And that's what will show up in your reality.
Yeah, I mean, it clears out your fears, and you can release any energy in your being just through this technique. I mean, it's a huge, powerful tool.
It really is. Honestly, it really is. Like I have so many other things to teach, but if you
Right.
walk away from this and you don't ever see me again, practice grounding.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it will really help you.
Exactly, and I love that you say, we're big energy, and we need to be grounded in order to be able to utilize that in an effective way, but also I think that gets into the safety in a safe way. Because if you're not grounded enough, then you start trying to bring in more energy. This is where when people not only with just intuition, but like have huge spiritual awakenings, they melt down. They can't handle it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why the Kundalini rises, right? So it's like,
Well, if you need to be very grounded to handle your Kundalini switching on.
yes.
And so, and you mentioned safety, and you mentioned that at the beginning, and so it's worth mentioning. Grounding helps you make it safe for yourself, for your body, and it acts as a protection. Because when you're grounded, you're coming in, you're owning your system. If you're not home, guess what? Maybe someone else is going to walk in that open door.
Exactly. Something else is going to drop in. That's where the empaths are experiencing this too. Like, I don't know, everything's coming in. Well, you need to get more grounded,
Yeah.
So it's always been
Absolutely.
huge. That's something that when I start teaching my energy scan technique, that was constant. Everything was imbued with grounding, and so
Absolutely.
it's a huge piece of.
It's huge, and there are many more spiritual teachers that don't teach grounding. And it's the most important thing to start with. And just saying we start with it doesn't minimize it, right?
No.
So because some people go, well, I learned that years ago. Now I'm on to this. Well, you need to ground every day, every moment of your life. It's not something that you learn once and then throw away. It is the answer to how you can live a conscious, awake, aware life where everyone wants to manifest, don't they? They want to, why can't I manifest? you need to be grounded if you want to manifest. You
Yeah.
need to clear out what, like we were just saying, what's in your system that's in opposition to what you want to manifest.
Mhm.
You have to be home to receive the parcel when
Right.
it comes.
You keep trying to deliver, but you're never home, right? That used to be a problem. So don't make sure you're at home so you can receive, so you can let this beautiful journey unfold for you in the most miraculous, beautiful way, right? So it's so huge. So with all that being said, we're going to share about, we want to share about your gifts. Probably that might be the next thing. Maybe we could share that with the free gifts that you have. So I want to go ahead and tell them about it. And we'll put it in the show notes too.
I will. And I added an extra one as well. So they're all to support you in the theme of what we were talking about today. So I have a Intuition and Chakra infographic, and it's an interactive infographic. So when you get this as a PDF, but you hover your mouse over different parts of this chart, it pops up information to teach you about the chakras and intuition. So you can hover over the third chakra, and it will teach you about how the third chakra relates to out-of-body experience and dream experience, for example, and so on. So it's a really cool teaching tool. So that's the first one, the Intuition and Chakras infographic. The next one, which I just added, and I'll send you the link, Daniel, is the quiz. I have a psychic ability quiz, which you can take and explore whether you tend to see, hear, know, or feel, or all of those. Then I have a webinar series actually called Awaken Your Intuition, and it's complimentary. And it talks about in more depth what we've touched upon today, which is what is blocking my intuition? You know, what are the 7 or 8 top things that cause people to block their intuition? And we also give more information about those clairs as well that you can learn about in the quiz. And then finally, and this is, it's not exactly a free gift, but it's a really good gift, which is the book, I forget the price, I think it's a $17.99 American dollars. So when you buy the book, it's in 3 parts, and the last part teaches energy techniques. It goes into grounding and centering in more depth and additional energy techniques. And it's written about in the book, but when I was writing the book, I mean, as a teacher of this stuff, the best way for people to learn is to experience it for themselves. So I gave a reader's gift, and there's a link in the book that takes you to the reader's gift, which is a 5-part mini video series that takes you through a meditation on each of the techniques in the book. So that's priceless, right? I sell my courses for quite a bit of money. And you can get something for the price of the book. So I would really, really recommend you do that. So that's a ton of stuff.
Great, that's awesome. Yeah, I have everything here that you mentioned, and
apart from the quiz, I can.
Quiz we don't have yet, but you'll give me that too. So, but yeah, the quiz is amazing to be able to really tune into, you know, your gifts and what are they and how do they operate, start understanding more about that. And so people definitely want to, you know, people love quizzes. I want to say I'm a sucker for quizzes in a good way, but like, so I definitely want to check that out too.
Yeah.
So
I just popped the link in there, Daniel, for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So absolutely, we'll check all this out. But if you go to drlesleyphillips.com, drlesleyphillips.com, this is where you can check her out overall, because there's a number of things here. And so if you're just listening through a podcast, you want to check her out, you know, that's the place to go. So
yeah, and there's hundreds of podcasts, because we've been doing the podcast for 5 or 6 years. 1 episode a week. So there's an enormous amount of information, actually. So if you go to my website, you can tap into that.
Yeah. It is. I have watched a little bit of your shows, and I'm like, wow, like there's certain people where I'm like, wow, she really has a lot to share, and that's what I was talking about, that depth of wisdom and knowledge to share. So we're at the time of the show where I ask you if you would like I like to share a little scanning, a little my intuition for people. If you'd like to receive a little bit of that just for a minute or two as we wrap up the show, would you like to receive?
Yeah, I totally would, Daniel. And it's a real treat for me to get a reading from somebody else because I spend all my day giving readings to other people. So thank you. That would be
Okay,
great.
awesome. So I'll just share just a few quick things. One of one of the things that I get is that there is so much you have to share. So the more, yeah, you've got a lot of your content circulating now, but the width of your throat chakra to share is so big. It is so huge. So there is still restrictions that show up in my view of your throat chakra. I'm not gonna tell anybody, you have your own truth, but I'll just share what comes up. I feel a sense of restriction. So there's it's a feeling of strangulation. So wow, I see the lopped off head energy too. So some of the usual suspects. But yeah, that's what's coming up. Like,
I was working with a client yesterday. Maybe I haven't cleared the client's energy out of my space because that's exactly what we were working on.
oh, really, really? So that may
Yeah.
be part of it. I don't usually
Yeah.
pick up on just only that though.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I always see it. Sometimes our clients are just really those mirrors, right? We totally mirrors.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
so anyways, but that's what I'm seeing showing up. And but yeah, I mean uh, you hold on. Let me just slow it down for a
Yeah.
second.
And I'll be quiet and receive.
Okay. Yeah, but the head off is good in a way. It's so funny that it's good, right? It's because your head can be so strong, right? So in this lifetime, it's actually you're clearer, in your head than in the past lives, and so some of the energy of some of that. So for enlightenment. It's for enlightenment, right? So you just cut off the head. Okay, quit thinking so much. So
Oh,
you
yes, gotcha.
yeah, so you're definitely developing, I do feel some tension in the energy field in your body. So that would be where we want to get even more of the infusion of. I know you've done so much work on these chakras and opening them up and expanding them. And yeah, I can feel the energy of the aura in the body where there's still some of that tension. So we just want to open that energy up more. So like I think like you're so open to your guidance and your consultations, and it feels like there's some maybe you have a few couple of resistors inside your body to some of the guidance, some of those guidances. Okay, so this is a feeling I'm getting, but you're definitely that high temple priestess goddess sort of energy. So it's good for people. Like, okay, everybody can access these things, but like if they really want to work with you probably already have it set up this way, but okay, you really need to be committed though. If you can work with me at this deep high level, like they really need to be really committed students. I don't know. I could go on and on, but there's just a few things I wanted to share with you today. So.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. I mean, I love to work with people who are committed, who want to go deeply because I do have a lot to share. And so, yeah, I'd love to accompany you on a deep, deep journey, a deep, deep dive into your spiritual abilities, rather than just a fleeting, hi, bye. Because sometimes people just, they come for a short time and then for some reason they can't commit. So that's always a shame.
Yeah, and that's where it's just that letting go that we have to continue to work on, right? So okay, it's okay. They'll find their way. They're gonna find their way.
Exactly.
They're okay. And we're handing them over to the infinite. I'm not the manager of the universe, as they say, right?
Yes, I'm just the manager of this universe.
Exactly. Our own personal universe, right, so to speak. But yeah, if people want to check me out, I just go ahead and do that. Let people know you can find me at yoursacredpurpose.com. There is an opportunity to get an energy scan consultation with me. There is an application though, so I tune in to see if you're someone I should be meeting with or not. For light leaders and world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs that want to rocket to your next level and fully wake up, deepen in your journey. And then I also have a meditate and make money meditation that people love, 18 minutes worth of connecting in each day, and just it puts you at peace. It opens up chakras, it grounds you, it lets the money energy start flowing inside you and get the downloads and everything. So check it out, yoursacredpurpose.com. So as we begin to finish here, Dr. Lesley, any last words for the audience?
Well, let me tune in and see what comes up as some last words for the audience. Well, you came here to anchor your light, right? You came here to anchor your light. You've been given a gift today that shows you how to anchor your light. If you ground, you are anchoring your light. And so, the world needs you. The world needs your light. Together we're this huge tapestry. We're like a big jigsaw puzzle. We're like a symphony. Each one of us is a different note. And we're meant to be here playing our unique note, our unique frequency. And so if you're ungrounded, or if you're in competition, or if you're feeling unworthy or out of alignment in any other way, then you're not playing your unique note. But step one to doing that is to ground, because that anchors your light and it gives you a way of letting go of any invalidation or unworthiness or anything else that is preventing you being who you really are. And then the whole world benefits from you being who you really are, because then we have this magnificent symphony that's attuned to the divine cosmic consciousness. So ground.
Ground.
Yeah. There you go.
Ground. So yes, thank you. And so I'm so grateful, and so grateful for everything you've shared today. And it's a real honor and pleasure to have you on the show today, truly. And so I'm just so grateful. So thank you for coming on today.
It's my absolute pleasure, Daniel. And it's been a delight talking to you. And thank you so much for all that you do as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And so everyone, as I always say, keep on tuning in here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show, and we'll keep on rocking it. Okay, see you the next time.
Bye, everyone.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.